struggle with mixing colors? How about knowing which color to use to shade and highlight, or to make a color lighter and darker? I've got some tips I'd like to share with you on this subject and how to make it an easy task for you. My name is Sue Pruitt. Come join me in a close-up and I'll do some color mixing for you. This mixing exercise, we're going to use the DecoArt Traditions Artist Grade paints. I've got some Ultramarine Blue, Naphthol Red, and Haan-Soo Yellow. These are the three that I'm going to do some mixing with, as far as showing you how to make a lighter red, a lighter blue, lighter yellow, and then also darker values of these. I find that students have a hard time working with these because they are pure pigments and they're so intense, it's hard to think, what am I going to do to lighten and darken this? So I would like to show you that. The way I've laid these out is the colors to the right will make this red lighter. Colors to the left are all my choices to make it darker. So first, we all know that white will lighten the color. So let me go ahead and put some titanium white into this red. And you get a very bright pink. That might not be what you need. Could be, but maybe not. So we also have a choice of medium white. This has a toner of raw umber in it. And that will take away that very bright pink. And you can always, if you want to make that a little lighter and you don't want to add any more of the medium white because of it has that toner in it of raw umber, you can always just add a little bit more of the titanium white. This might be a better choice for if you need a pink highlight color. But not everything we paint red needs a pink highlight, of course. Then let's get out our color wheel and look at that. So I've got red, and what's going to make red lighter is if I look over to this side of the color wheel, the red-orange is definitely lighter than the red. And of course, orange is lighter than the red-orange. So to make this lighter go in this direction, I need to add yellow. So I've got some Haan-Soo Yellow here. And now that's going to make a red-orange. And if you put too much yellow and you get an orange, all you have to do is come back and put a little bit of your Naphthol Red back into it. And how would I know if this is, the right color that I want? Or if it's much lighter than the red, you'd have to put them side by side, of course, to see that. So if I put them side by side, I can see that, well, maybe that needs to be just a little bit lighter. You still have your choice of one of these lighter colors up here. You can make it a little lighter that way. So that might be what you need and not the pink. Okay, now let's go to the dark side. Come back to my color wheel. My colors to this side are darker. And it would be red, violet, violet, and blue, and so forth. So to go this direction, I would need to add blue. So I've got my Ultramarine Blue here. And that makes a very nice burgundy. But what if I put too much blue in? Again, come back to your red. Put more of that in. And if I want to see how much darker that is, always have to put the red next to it just to see what value you're coming up with. We have other choices that also work very well. Got some Doxine purple. A little bit of Doxine purple goes a long ways. So that could be a choice. We've got burnt umber, which is red's earth color. Put a bit of that in. That makes a really nice darker red. And last but not least, we have a little black, and a little bit of black goes a long ways. So anytime you use black, you would use small increments of that until you achieve what you want. So you can see there's lots of choices here to go darker and to go lighter. Next color we're going to experiment with is the Ultramarine Blue. Also have some Cerulean Blue here, Titanium White, Medium White, Doxine Purple, Prussian Blue Hue, and Cobalt Blue. The reason I got some of these other blues out is you always have, you know, the opportunity to use another blue to make a color darker or lighter. Just depends what you need. So I'm going to pull out some of the Ultramarine Blue to make that lighter. I can add some Titanium White. But if that is a little too bright, remember we talked about the white that has a toner in it, which is the medium white. So maybe you want a lighter blue, but not to be so bright. You can also add some of the titanium white, so you can, you know, combine those two together until you get the color that you like. What else you can do is add a different blue. Now this is Cerulean Blue, and it appears to be just a little bit lighter than the Ultramarine, but you could use some of that. And also pick up a little bit of the Titanium White. And that'll be just a little different. Now to make the Ultramarine Blue darker, there's a color called Prussian Blue Hue that leans a little bit, has a little bit of a green in it, but it is a darker blue. And in order to see the difference, it always helps to put a little bit of the color that you were mixing next to this, so you can see how much darker you're getting. And if you get too dark, remember you can always go back and put in some of the original blue back into that. Now another blue that you could use to make this darker is Cobalt Blue. In value, it's a little bit darker, as you can see here, in relationship to Ultramarine Blue. So it's always a good choice to just add a darker blue. This time we're going to start with a very bright yellow, which is Haan-Soo Yellow. I've got some Titanium White, Medium White, Raw Sienna, Derelite Yellow. You can find darker yellows within your bottles of paint. Got some black here, Raw Umber, and Burnt Umber. These ones over here are earth colors, except of course not the Derelite Yellow. Lots of choices to choose from, and it just depends what is going to work for you. Of course, to make it lighter, we could go to our same colors of Titanium White. If that's a little too bright for you, again, you can use the Medium White. Now that will dull it, but I would also use the Titanium White in that to further lighten it. It'll still make a nice light yellow, but you might not need this very bright light yellow. You might just need a toned light yellow. So you've got two choices there. And to make a lighter value of that, add a little bit more of the titanium white. And you have a very light yellow. So yellow's an easy one to lighten. It seems like it's easier to lighten a color. You have what seems to have a lot more choices with darkening a color. Now raw sienna is yellow's earth color, and we can use that to darken. Okay, there's one alternative. Now if I wanted to lean this darker value towards orange, this is our Daylight Yellow, but it's leaning more towards the orange side. So that'll make it a little bit darker. And that just might be what you need, is a yellow-orange color. You can also add a little bit of this raw sienna to that. And you'll end up with a different color than what's over here, because it'll have the Daylight Yellow in it. Still a darker version of the Haan-Soo Yellow, as you can see. Put these all together and you can see the difference here. So this one was with the raw sienna, Daylight Yellow plus raw sienna. Something else we can use to darken. How about some raw umber? Now raw umber leans a little bit to the green side. So what will happen is this will become cooler, meaning green is cooler than yellow. And if that shifts a little too much green, add some raw sienna to cut the green and bring a little bit of that yellow back. So it's fun to experiment and to see the different colors that you can make, and just you'll know which one appeals to you or which one works better in your painting. I have another earth color here, and that is burnt umber. Now let's see how the burnt umber works in that. A little bit of burnt umber goes a long ways, because it's such a darker color. And again, if something gets too dark, you just go back and put your original color back into it and make it lighter. Now one of the colors that I tend to stay away from is black. Again, because that will kill a color quicker than anything, but what it will do to yellow is it'll turn it green. And I would pick up just the tiniest bit of black. A little bit of black goes a long ways. Anytime you put black into a color, small amounts at a time. Now, if I was looking for a green, that does make a nice green, doesn't it? Sometimes that's what you need. Is a yellow that's just a darker yellow that's leaning to the green side. And look at these side by side. Those look pretty good side by side. So it just, again, it depends what you need, and it's easy to experiment and play with color. The more you do it, the better you'll get at deciding which one of these is going to work for whatever you're painting. I hope you enjoyed this exercise, and thank you for joining me.